Chapter 1. Dreaming. The grass is greener on the other side. A stubborn boy in a hopeful world. From the moment I entered the world told me I did not belong. My name is Rugare Gomo, which means God's peace. However, my story is far from godly. I was born at 5:20 p.m. on Sunday, September 23rd, 1984, at Norwich Hospital in the United Kingdom. My parents were expecting a baby girl, and I was to be named Rugare Gomo, which means God's flower. To their surprise, I was a boy. I was born stateless to Zimbabwean parents, and I was neither a British nor Zimbabwean citizen. My parents were students in the UK, and in 1983, the British had changed the immigration laws which ceased the automatic acquisition of British citizenship at birth, unless the parents were already British citizens or had the right of indefinite stay. Since I was not born in Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwean government did not grant me automatic citizenship either. Right from the start, I did not fit the arbitrary laws of this world. These laws never consider the devastating consequences to babies being rendered stateless, and still today, millions of children around the world like me are rendered stateless. The children born into refugee camps in Kenya, children born to non-citizens in Estonia or Latvia. Over time, I've learned that not all people are born equal, and for many, it is the place of birth and the passport in hand that determine the opportunities and quality of life one has. The moment I was born, the world was determined to rob me of my future. I only spent 1 year and 8 months in the UK before my parents returned to Zimbabwe after my dad had completed his theological training. We were dirt poor, living in a tiny home in a shanty town called Chabalala in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe's second largest city. While I have few memories of my time living there, a few have marked my mind and stayed with me over the years. I must have been around 3, and my grandmother, Mbuya Mutukumira, my mom's mom, was staying with us. I was playing a game of putting a stone in my nose and blowing it out hard. Mbuya Mutukumira told me to stop, but I wouldn't until a stone got stuck up my nose. I remember thinking that this stone would be stuck in my nose forever. It felt like hours before Dad got back from work and he figured a way to get the stone out of my nose. This was likely one of the first times my family realized how stubborn I could be. Another memory was when my parents were at work. I would go into their bedroom, find my mom's bright red nail polish and paint my toenails. I knew to remove the nail polish before they got home so I would not be caught, but I insisted on wearing it, so I covered it up by putting on socks, but they always seemed to be privy to my red toenails. I believe I was stubborn because I never doubted who I was deep down inside. Beneath all the layers I've piled up over the years, there was always that core part of me, the part that beat in the center of my heart. When I was 3 years old, I was effortlessly cutting my meat and feeding myself because I did not want anyone else to have to help me. It was as if my life started when I was 4 years old. I don't remember much before that age. What stands out most about this memory is that I was such a young child, but I remember so vividly how I knew who I was. The idea that I was in control of my future and the confidence I had in making decisions for myself is something that was so clear to me because I was raised in a culture where children should be seen and not heard. At 4 years old, my father took me on a motorcycle ride, and I remember loving every second of that ride, from the way the long t-shirt flapped in the wind around me like a dress, to the way I clung to my father, to the way it felt to be trusted to go for such a ride. I can still feel the sun penetrating my face as I clung to my father while he drove us through the busy streets of Chabalala, turning the tight corners with the ease of a professional as we flew down the narrow streets lined with shacks and houses.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.